What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, legendary trainer turned boxing analyst and boxing pundit, Teddy Atlas, he absolutely goes in on 4-division world champion, who is currently the unified WBC WBA super middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, he fought what was his WBC mandatory challenger and longtime sparring partner, AVNI YILDIRIM. And it ended, dissatisfying to say the least, okay? AVNI YILDIRIM, he put up no resistance. He didn't even attempt to fight in the fight. He didn't let his hands go in the first round at all whatsoever. He just refused to let his hands go. And then he quit on the stool after getting dropped in the third round. He just refused to come out. You can hear his trainer, Joe Diaz, who is a great trainer in the sport of boxing. You can hear him, pleading with him and asking him, did this guy hurt you or something already? Did you get hit with something big already? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you letting your hands go? Why aren't you fighting? What is wrong with you? Okay, this is his own trainer. And after the third round, his trainer was saying, if you're not here to compete, I'm going to stop the fight. If you're not here to compete, I'm going to stop the fight. So that lets you know everything you need to know about AVNI YILDIRIM's mindset going into the fight, or should I say in the fight, right? As you can listen to his corner and his own trainer, who's a great trainer in the sport of boxing, Joe Diaz, like I said, pleading with him to fight. He wasn't putting up any resistance, okay? He wasn't even attempting to fight. And this is eerie similar to Sergey Kovalev's situation with Canelo Alvarez. This is eerie similar to Caleb Smith's situation with Canelo Alvarez fights. All of these fights are having the same effect, okay? They're having the same storyline. The fighters are not coming to fight. And this is unfortunate for the sport of boxing. And Teddy Atlas, he goes in. He rips into the commentary. The commentary kept asking the question, what style and who was the fighter that could beat Canelo Alvarez? And Teddy Atlas, he responded by saying, somebody that actually wants to fight. We could start by finding better opposition. And then Teddy Atlas, he goes on to say, somebody please let me know when the UFC is coming back. Somebody please let me know, is MMA on, right? Alluding to, boxing is being watered down. It's being made a mockery of, okay? It's simply just making a mockery of the sport of boxing, okay? These guys are not coming in there to compete with Canelo Alvarez, and yet, in return, and this is no slight to Canelo Alvarez, okay? And this is not to Canelo Alvarez doing, but, you can't claim a guy's the face of the sport of boxing. He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. And does Canelo Alvarez have skills? Absolutely. Is Canelo a great fighter? Absolutely. Is Canelo looking to compete? Absolutely. It's not Canelo Alvarez's fault that these guys are coming in there and just looking to lay down and get a paycheck, okay? Sergey Kovalev, he complained after the fight that he didn't have enough time. Well, he had 10-week training camp, okay, that you could have let your hands go. You look at the fight with Sergey Kovalev, his fight before Canelo Alvarez when he fought Anthony Yarde, and you can't tell me that the same version of Sergey Kovalev that you see against Anthony Yarde against Canelo Alvarez, okay? You can't look at AVNI YILDIRIM's fight with Anthony Durrell and then tell me this is the same version of AVNI YILDIRIM that you got against Canelo Alvarez. It's just Caleb Smith fight. You can't look at Caleb Smith, his past fights, and look at his fight with Canelo Alvarez and say this is the same guy. Now, people will chalk this up to, well, it's Canelo and Canelo Alvarez is preventing it. No, it's not Canelo Alvarez, because guess what? This is the mindset these guys have going into the fight. You can see from the opening bell, they have no interest in asserting themselves. They have no interest in letting their hands go, okay? It's simply making a mockery of the sport of boxing. You cannot look at these guys' past history, past fights, just a fight before, and these guys are blood and guts warriors, and then they get in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, and they don't even want to assert themselves. They look like they don't even want to be in the ring, okay? Canelo Alvarez now 55 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws on his resume, 37 wins by way of knockout, okay? He's 30 years of age, stands at 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. Now he's scheduled to face Billy Joe Saunders, 2-division world champion, undefeated WBO super middleweight world champion, British superstar boxer, May 8th, okay? Now, Billy Joe Saunders, we saw against David Lemieux, a great version, slick, southpaw, educated ring IQ, accurate. His last few fights, we haven't seen that version of Billy Joe Saunders. Are we going to see that version of Billy Joe Saunders that showed up against David Lemieux, against Canelo Alvarez? He's been calling for this fight. Or is it just simply another payout and Billy Joe Saunders is going to be looking to lay down? This is making a mockery of the sport of boxing. And it hurts Canelo Alvarez's reputation, okay? Because at the end of the day, you have historians in the sport of boxing. You have fans of the sport of boxing. We know what we're looking at, okay? You have media of the sport of boxing. You know what you're looking at. You know you can see a guy is asserting himself. You don't have to be a professional boxer. You don't have to have been in the ring to know that a guy is just not simply asserting himself. And AVNI Yildirim yesterday in the first round, you can hear the commentator. You can hear a boxer who's been in the ring like Sergio Mora, and he's saying, what is this guy's game plan? What is he doing? He's not throwing any punches, okay? So Sergio Mora identifies this, and Sergio Mora has been in the ring, okay? So you can't say it's just guys that don't know nothing about the sport of boxing, never been in the ring, analyzing the fight. No, there's guys that been in the ring that's saying they're making a mockery. Now you have a legendary trainer who turned boxing pundit and analyst, and Teddy Atlas, who knows the sport of boxing, and Teddy Atlas is saying Canelo Alvarez simply needs to face better competition. It's the lack of competition, and this is the knock on Canelo Alvarez, okay? And it's taken out of content saying that people just don't like Canelo Alvarez. No, the fact remains is that you see he's not fighting upper tier echelon boxers, and these guys that are getting in the ring with him aren't asserting himself. Yes, he got a knockout over James Kirkland, but look how James Kirkland asserted himself, okay? Yes, he got the knockout over Amir Khan. Amir Khan, before he got knocked out, who moved up 2 weight classes, from 147 to 160 to challenge Canelo Alvarez. Amir Khan, you can argue, was winning the fight until the point he got knocked out. Why? Because he was asserting himself. Austin Trout, he was asserting himself. Now, you can't, as I stated, Canelo Alvarez got the victory over these guys, okay? But they asserted themselves. Canelo Alvarez didn't get a knockout victory over a 39-year-old Shane Mosley who was asserting himself, okay? So you look at Miguel Cotto fight. It was a close fight. Miguel Cotto asserted himself. He wasn't getting these stoppage knockout victories over these guys when they asserted themselves. Okay, he didn't knock out Austin Trout. One can argue Austin Trout was winning the fight until the open scoring was revealed, and Austin Trout felt like he had to go for the glory, throw caution and win, and just go for it because he was down big on the scorecards. And we know when you face off against Canelo Alvarez, you already down 3 rounds on the scorecard before you go in the fight. As we saw, he lost every single round to Floyd Mayweather, and the one judge had it a draw. There's no way you could have the other two judges had it a landslide for Floyd Mayweather, and then the other judge has it a draw. Completely, this is what goes on in the sport of boxing, and it's a disservice to the sport of boxing, okay? Thus the reason why you have a longtime historian and legend in the sport of boxing in Teddy Atlas, and he's saying, somebody let me know when the UFC is getting ready to start. A whole nother combat sport, right? Because he's getting fed up with the events that's taking place within the sport of boxing. You look at Canelo Alvarez's resume, Danny Jacobs seemed very hesitant to let his hands go, throw anything with conviction. You see Sergey Kovalev, who was controlling jab, he won an entire fight against Eleider Alvarez in the rematch. He won an entire fight with the jab. He has a massive arm reach, a massive height reach, a massive power advantage over Canelo Alvarez, and doesn't even use it, doesn't assert himself, didn't throw one punch with conviction, okay? And then you look at his 2 fights with Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Asserted himself. In both those fights, Gennady Triple G Golovkin, he asserted himself, and you can look at those fights, and people thought that Gennady Golovkin won both of those fights. So let's not act like or pretend that Canelo Alvarez has been dominating all his competition. No, when the competition decides to assert themselves, these are very close fights, okay? He has 2 draws on his resume. He has a draw against Gennady Golovkin, a draw earlier in his career. He also has a loss, where he lost in the boxing match by landslide to Floyd Mayweather, okay? He has two fights with Gennady Golovkin that one can say Gennady Golovkin won both of those fights. He was losing a fight against Erislandy Lara, but he came back he started to assert himself in the second half of that fight, and Erislandy Lara started utilizing the ring far too much in that fight, which is another close fight that some people feel like Erislandy Lara won the fight. Some people felt like Canelo Alvarez won the fight. Some people felt like it was a draw. But guess what the common denominator is in all of these equations? These guys asserted themselves. They act like that they wanted to be there. They act like that their body language said they wanted to win the fight. That's the case. That's not the case, we could say, with Canelo Alvarez's last 3 fights. This AVNI YILDIRIM fight, Caleb Smith fight. Caleb Smith stands at 6'3" with a 79-inch arm reach, okay? Canelo Alvarez stands at 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. So he had a 9-inch arm reach advantage, okay, and a 7-inch height advantage over Canelo Alvarez with a beautiful jab. He holds the record for super middleweight jabs thrown and landed all time in the 168-pound division, yet he has a massive advantage over Canelo Alvarez, and he doesn't throw, and Canelo Alvarez doubles him in the amount of jabs thrown and landed. That should be nearly impossible, okay? So the common denominator is these guys asserted themselves. Alfredo Angulo, he got knocked out, but he asserted himself. He acted like he wanted to be there. These guys are not acting like they want to be there, and that's the knock on Canelo Alvarez, and that's the issue that boxers, fans, pundits, and media have with this situation when you're dealing with Canelo Alvarez. It's not that he don't have skills. It's not that he's not a great boxer. It's just that his competition is not up to par. If you're going to consider him the face of the sport of boxing, if you're going to consider him the cash cow, you're going to consider him the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, then he absolutely needs to be fighting the best fighters in the world, the best competition in the world. Now, understand that he just fought 10 weeks ago when he took on Caleb Smith. But again, that was another fight and another fighter who just decided that and made up their mind going into the fight that they had no intentions of asserting themselves and making it a true fight. They did not go in there. Their body language didn't say that they wanted to win the fight. That was a Caleb Smith fight. And then he fought AVNI YILDIRIM because he went through the Caleb Smith fight like it was a glorified sparring session and a heavy bag, as Teddy Atlas stated. All of these guys he's fighting is like heavy bags in the gym. He's just pounding on them, and there's no resistance. They're not putting up any fights, right? It's like Bruce Lee said, boards don't hit back. So you look great hitting a board, and you look great hitting a heavy bag because they don't hit back. They're not giving you any movement, any resistance. And that's the case we have with these last 3 fights. Sergey Kovalev didn't assert himself. He didn't look nearly the same guy he did prior to that against Anthony Yard. And it's just a disservice to the sport of boxing. So I understand that Canelo Alvarez, he has a fight coming up in May. He already had that fight scheduled. It was already penciled in for him to fight against Billy Joe Saunders May 8th. That was already decided. So one has to wonder, did AVNI YILDIRIM get the message as well? Okay, and now we know he already has a fight scheduled against Caleb Plant, which is going to take place September 11th. Mexican Independence Day weekend for Undisputed. Is Billy Joe Saunders getting the message? One has to wonder. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.